So I sat down and told myself, you know what? You need to come up with a video idea that will get a lot of views so the channel can grow. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm gonna do a video about Harbor on Abyss. That's probably gonna get like at least 12 views because that's how many Harbor players are there on the entire planet. So yeah, welcome to Lotus Lab. Today we're gonna be doing a Harbor guide on Abyss. Hope you're gonna enjoy it. And of course, remember, all the video will be divided in chapters with some really cool tips, tricks, and other interesting facts about Harbor. So make sure to just, you can always scroll back to the part that you want to repeat, if anything. Today's episode is sponsored by Elgato. Go to elgato.com for the newest hardware for streamers, use the link from the description below and the code for 5% off. Thank you Elgato for sponsoring the stream. So first things first, you need to know everything about the utility from Harbor, and there are some really interesting details about each of those utility pieces that you need to know to make sure that you play Harbor correctly. Now, as you know, all of his three basic utility pieces are essentially just smokes in different forms. And that is correct. That's why this agent kind of sucks, because he has just one piece of utility, just in different shapes. I guess you get what I'm going with this. Like, on defense, you don't really have a stopping power. Your best stopping power is your ult. But there are some interesting facts about every single piece of utility. Also, please learn the names of them. So, Cascade is the wave that goes forward like this. It has 35 meters range, after which it stops moving. Now, the interesting thing about this piece of utility is the fact that it has a set duration once it stops moving, but you can also manually stop it from moving further if you double press your utility piece after releasing. Now, the thing is, when it stops traveling, the wall is gonna be up for 7 more seconds. So as you can see, if I put it maximum range, it's gonna cover essentially maximum distance and maximum duration of it, because once it stops, it counts 7 seconds. So overall is 12. But if I stop it in front of my face, then it's gonna disappear after 7 seconds, while essentially having minimal value, unless you really need the wall close. So bear in mind, this is very important detail, but it also, the fact that it has limited range and it stops moving is very important for you to making plans when it comes to execute. More on that later. Your I would say worst piece of utility, but people will tell me, oh, you stupid. Anyway, this is the only smoke in the game that can be destroyed. Yes, really. It lands, it builds up a smoke, and now you shoot 13 times and it gets instantly destroyed, which is a big bummer. And if people know how to play against a Harbor, they instantly shoot it to expose you if you're inside of that smoke. I really hope that Riot will make it possible for the smoke to stay on the map once you destroy the shield. That would be an incredible, just buff to Harbor, but it should work like that. I don't see any reason other than that. Okay, anyway, it is 15 seconds long. The smoke is 15 seconds. You're gonna destroy it with 13 bullets of a Phantom. You're gonna destroy it with the same amount of bullets of a Vandal, so 13. Then Classic is gonna take 21 bullets, and Ghost is gonna take 17 bullets. So remember, those are important pieces of information, because it also tells you that probably the most value you're gonna get out of Cove is during the pistol round, when not a single opponent is gonna be able to destroy your smoke with one clip. If there are 2 players, they need to spam together, but they will be able to destroy it. Otherwise, if there's only 1 player, you will be safe with this smoke. Now, as I said, duration is 15 seconds, but if it's gonna get insta destroyed, well, then duration is cut. It costs 350 credits. So in pistol round, if you buy it, well, you're gonna have a problem, because if you buy Cove and 1 Cascade, you don't have cash for anything else. So if you buy Cove, you're probably gonna buy small armor. But if you're gonna go double Cascade, you can buy Ghost. The Cove also has one niche kind of usage that you can do, which is right clicking. It's like a lob that just throws it like this, like a grenade, like a flashbang, like a, you know, pop flash. But you can use that to peek through corners. Let's say I'm going, you know, I'm on defense and I want to peek into this corner over here. Or like I'm clearing anything. I can go behind the corner. I can aim a little bit lower, right click like this, go out, shoot few bullets and hide inside of the smoke. It's very niche, but as a Harbor main, you need to know it, you know? Like this is one of those cool tricks that you can do and everyone will be like, wow, you're smart and good if you nail that, you know? But you have a very small window of opportunity to shoot before the wall builds up. All right, now we speak about the E. The E, the called high tide, is your basic wall. That is the most flexible piece of utility that you have in your kit. Now, there's also one more bug still in the game about the Harbor high tide. Look at the minimap right now. Look at the distance where the wall ends. As you can see, it doesn't go to the end. There's a gap here, right? Well, the thing is, the range of this wall is actually longer than it shows. Right here, I have 52 meters to the end of it, but it's gonna go, even though it doesn't touch the end of the map, it's gonna go further than that. As you can see, it goes beyond the wall. The actual range of this high tide is 54 meters. So you can plan around that by knowing that the marker on the minimap that you see, the blue one, is actually false and it's a little bit longer than that. That's one key piece of information. Now the high tide has a duration of 15 seconds, but as you can see, it actually takes a while for it to start building because the wall is starting to build once it reaches the end. Now, there are other really important facts about this skill. One, if you hold your left click, you can wave it. All right, you can make a shape out of it. That's one of the most skillful thing about Harbor, is making walls exactly like you want him to do, and it takes ages to learn. It's incredibly complicated and it's super easy to actually get wrong. So that's one thing. But there's another thing that you probably don't know because there's no description of it. So when you press left click and you have the steering wheel of the wall, let's say, right? So I can do this. You can press right click to instantly end the wall and then it builds. So what does it mean? I can make it quicker and faster. Like this. I cut it short, it ends after a few meters, but it also starts building up immediately after I right click. See? This is one of the most important skills when it comes to playing Harbor, because if you just let it go, look how long it takes to actually get that smoke up. And in most cases, you need that smoke very fast. So you need to be ready to control it. And now there's another part where Harbor is skill checking your mechanics. This is gonna be a little bit tricky to learn, so bear with me. But this is a very important skill that you will need to master, so listen closely. I will give you an example of why is this important, what I'm gonna show it to you right now. So let's say this is gonna be one of the walls I'm gonna show you on defense, but this is gonna be the wall that I'm gonna be using on mid. As you can see here, it's a little bit long, right? Like I needed actually to finish doing it, like being here. Right? I don't need this part of the wall. So when I left click it, it's gonna take ages for it to actually go up. I want to be efficient. I want to min-max. I want that wall to end faster and build up faster as well. So I want to do this. And now I'm gonna left click, right click, right? I'm holding the left click, then I'm doing right click and the wall ends earlier. And because of that, it builds up earlier and denies vision earlier. Right? Important. But I also want to now move efficiently because the barrier dropped and opponents might actually be already attacking into A main. So you're gonna have to learn moving while pressing left click and not moving your crosser. So my plan at the beginning of the round is to wall mid and move towards A main. And I'm gonna do it this way. But I also want to cut the wall short. Right? So I'm aiming this direction. I'm gonna left click, hold it, start moving, but not move my crosser, and then right click like this. And now I moved efficiently into the direction of A main, but I also min-maxed the wall and made it appear faster and be shorter. without making it go like a snake. All right, we go back now to the other last piece of utility, which is the ultimate. The ultimate stuns people and shows you where the people are. You know, like you're gonna see like animations and it's gonna stun people. But that's not important. What I want to talk about is its movement, because the ult moves. When I just press the left click, look at the minimap. The wall, sorry, not the wall, the ult moves forward. It has its own speed. Now, not many people know that you can actually add momentum to it. So I'm gonna show you the difference. This is gonna be a ult where I don't move. Now this is gonna be ult where I give backwards momentum, and this is gonna be ult where I just go forward with it. As you can see, all three of them have completely different speed, and that is what's important for you to know, is to be used when you know what's gonna be your plan with the ultimate. So for example, if I want to go to B and I want to ult the entire site like this, I want this ult to stay in place. I don't want it to go off map or anything, right? So I'm gonna aim it into like this direction right here, and then I'm gonna ult while going backwards. So I can be like closer here, then I go backwards, I ult. And now this covers the entire side, but it moves very slowly forward. So it stays covering everything on the side without like going away from some targets. Now, remember, this all depends on how you want to play, but it's very important to know, do you want to add the momentum? Do you want to keep it normal, or do you want to reduce the momentum from the ult move? All right, let's start talking actual stuff. So, defense. We're gonna defend on mid, and we want to make sure that we can deny early info and get some advantages. So we go here to this, which is I guess B link, I don't know, BCT, whatever. And now we're standing here in the corner. We look into this direction like this. Now, ideally, we want to cut it off early here. But it doesn't matter if you just press left click and just forget about it, it's all good. This wall is for someone from your team, ideally a teammate, like a duo teammate, to get benefit from this wall. So why is this important? That you're aiming, you see here, this right here? Like you're making like a mini lineup. Like your wall ends just behind the corner right here. So you're gonna do this wall, and it's important because it creates a one-way. You see this gap over here? People who are standing from this wall or behind this wall are getting baited into looking into this direction, but now they expose themselves with their legs over here. So someone from your team who is standing in this position can kill them. Specifically with a phantom when you cannot see the bullet traces. So this is like a really nasty one-way that can be abused by your duo mate, because you're unfortunately too far away for use it for yourself. Now from the other side of the map, if we're standing here on the rope room, well, it's the wall that I showed you earlier. We're just doing it from here and we just connect it. It's like literally just a wall from here to here, has the same purpose. It denies the early info and makes sure that the players from mid cannot get easy control. But we just do it like this, right? We right click, it ends early, and now we're able to deny the informations from the mid players and make them reluctant to peek mid for 15 seconds at the beginning of the round. Important, because people now can like push up here, like take some space, or like be in positions that are not prepped for. Like it's, of course, don't do this when your teammates have an operator or outlaw. But now let's say I'm gonna try to min-max my impact by both smoking off A main and mid and be efficient with my movement. So I want to use the Cascade first onto A main, right? So it stops moving over here and denies the early info from the players, from the attackers going into A main, which is very important for the early game, right? But I also want to have impact by walling off mid. Now this is a little bit complicated and you definitely need to practice, because what you're gonna do is you're gonna start the round by using the Cascade. You have to know exactly when to stop it, because you want to stop it here, right? You don't want it to go the distance. At the same time, you need to be fast because you want to wall mid. So you're gonna do press for Cascade, move towards the corner, do the wall, press Cascade in between, control the wall, cut it short, and also move at the same time. Now, this is something that everyone has to practice. I will probably not make it first time, so there are gonna be some cuts here, but it will look something like this. Actually, well, that was first try. Look at that. All right, so I did the cascade, I did the wall, I cut it early as well. Now, the only thing that I could have done actually better is immediately move when I'm doing the wall. Let's do it again. But I didn't stop the cascade. And as you can see, I also cut the wall short. I'll actually keep this in the guide because it shows to you how much you actually have to practice to nail it every time. So if you want to do this, go to the custom map and practice it. But I can guarantee you, once you make it properly every single time, it's gonna feel awesome. Another wall that I like using from A main is using a wall that covers A main but also helps with top mid on the catwalk. So I'm going to be using it like this. Remember that the distance of the wall is actually longer than the marker. So I can stand in the corner over here, look into this direction, wall it off for 15 seconds, right? So it walls it off here, and then it also walls the entire top mid for the catwalk. So now I have a wall that helps me controlling A main in case people are moving and also helps with mid. Now, why is it so awkward to actually defend with Harbor on the A side is because you cannot use the Cove like a normal smoke over here, because this can be instantly destroyed and then basically the Cove has no impact. You also can't really do a one-way on top of this because for the same reason. If this gets destroyed and the smoke just disappears, well, this one-way is kind of useless and it only takes 13 bullets. Let's say two people are going into A main. They need to shoot 6 and 7 bullets each to destroy the smoke and counter your one way. That is a no-no. So don't use it. Don't use the Cove for main. Try using your Cascade. Try using your High Tide. But don't use the Cove for the choke point. It's not a good idea unless you literally don't have anything else. And by the way, you would like to get as much value as possible out of your High Tide on defense almost every time. So you want to start the round by essentially always walling something. That's why I have those setups like on A main, on mid, because I want to be efficient. I want to use another High Tide 40 seconds into the round, which is called the second cycle. And then we have a third cycle after another 40 seconds. This is a terminology that actually pro players and coaches use to like divide the round in specific phases that you would like to be efficient with. There's also one small trick that I can use on an A main. If you use a wall like this that ends behind this pillar, now you can jump through behind the wall and, well, maybe sometimes surprise your opponents, right? But this is like, look, if your opponents have more than 5 IQ, they might actually be onto you because, well, it's kind of obvious. But, you know, sometimes it might work. The next wall that I'm going to show you is very risky because it's a wall that would actually be used by your opponent to some degree. So use it with caution, and I use it only when I want to get like a surprise kill and just disappear. So I'm standing on top of the side here. I'm doing a wall that will essentially help the attackers to go to side, but also deny informations into A main. So it has like two functions. First, they need to go through this wall over here, but then if they go through, they peek into you. Let me explain to you what I mean. I'm not gonna stand at the end of it. I'm gonna stand like somewhere in the middle, so the wall ends earlier. I'm doing the wall like this, the High Tide, and as you can see, it creates a small wave. So you can see through here, through this gap, when opponents are peeking, they don't really see you, because they're not going to be looking into that direction and it's wavy, so you might actually not be that easily seen. You use it kind of like a cover, like a small camouflage for you. But remember, this is very, very risky because if you use a wall like that, your opponents might actually cross to sight behind the wall because you're not going to see them, right? So use this with caution. Sometimes you might just abuse it and just get like a small kill and then just fall back from this and just go like somewhere here and just disappear behind the site. Another small piece of utility that you can use at the beginning of the round when the barrier drops is just a cascade that goes like this and you stop it around here. You want it to be stopping after the spot where the orb is, because that denies the access to the orb and opponents will have to use some utility, sacrifice some utility to fight for the orb control. And it also creates tension with the corners because maybe someone will be on those specific corners that, you know, the opponents have to clear with a flash or something. So think about it this way. I'm gonna pay 150 credits at the beginning of the round to do this small cascade, stop it here, and essentially exchange it for the attacker's flash or stun or anything else, like maybe a Sova drone or a arrow, an eye, anything on value. It's actually important because otherwise Habo doesn't really get a lot of value. You want to force your opponents into thinking like, what is behind the smoke? Your job is to vision denial, to deny vision. So you need to do that constantly. Otherwise, you will not have value as Habo. Think always about it this way. You want to use your util to draw the util out of your opponents so they don't have it later on when they actually will go to the important parts of the rounds, which is like the site, right? So always think about it this way. This is your job. If you're not using your high tide to control mid with this wall, then you can contemplate using it for a main control. I have two walls that I like using to like early pressure, which is essentially a wall that goes from here to here, deny the orb control, and then it goes like a kind of this shape. So it looks something like this. And you want to cut it early so it doesn't go onto site and it goes up early over here, right? So what this does is, again, denies the orb control, forces opponents to use this. Then when they go through, they actually don't even understand that there's nothing covering this angle. So they go through this wall and they expose themselves. But they also have to like think about, wait, maybe someone is in the corner, but there's a wall over here. So it actually affects multiple angles. And if they don't have experience about like how to play against such weird walls, you can take advantage of that. So once more, like this, and cut it. And as you can see, this is like kind of awkward to move around. Now people can be behind this wall, can be behind the corner. Like there might be not even a smoke in here. So if you peek into this, you expose yourself to multiple angles and you will have to probably sacrifice utility behind this wall unless you just hold it and you waste time. There's another wall that you might use from this angle and it looks something like this. Now remember, the orb is over here. So you want to use the wall like this. And the wall goes to here and then it curves into this direction. So it looks something like this. We're going to start the wall either in this corner or on top rope like this, right? But I like doing it from the corner. Now I'm going to go do it in a straight line, do a sharp right and cut it early. And now it covers again the orb. And it builds a little bit of pressure into A main as well. So now the opponents, if they were lazy and they didn't go fast through here, they have to clear this wall and go into the second wall. This is why it's so important to cut the wall early so it goes up faster. Because if people in ranked are lazy, like I know they are, they might actually be late and they might not go through this first wall early enough. So now let's go into B main. We want to do two things. One, to deny the orb control, which is here, and also like discourage someone from peeking through window. Now remember, when someone peeks you from window, you actually have a disadvantage as a defender because the person peeking from here peeks from his left side. So if you're holding the window like this, you're gonna see that person earlier than him. So you don't want to cover this with a smoke typically because you lose that advantage. Now with that in mind, when we're going to be holding over here, is we're going to be doing a wall that ideally goes like a little bit of a snake. So here to here to here to here. Now, again, I'm not a Harbor main. I am probably not going to do this perfectly, but I will try my best. I go to a custom map and practice it. It is possible. Like this. Oh, damn, I actually did it. Nice. It's not perfect on the orb because the orb is literally here, but you can try doing that. And now it's also discouraging the person from peeking from window. All right, so this is okay. I'm actually kind of impressed with myself right now, but you have to do this like 5 times in a row to actually be happy with yourself. If you did it 5 times exactly the same, Harbor is an incredibly complicated agent. You have to practice it. This is why people also don't play him because it's so easy to mess up. Right? Also, if you don't want to do like specific like snake walls and shit, well, you can just do this. Look, I'm just gonna do a wall like this, straight line like this. And that's good enough because you deny the info for the orb. You also create tension behind the wall for this corner over here. And you also do a little bit of pressure into the window. And it's super easy. You cannot mess it up. And you can cut it short when it reaches this wall. Right? So all Gucci. This is a wall that you can use. I strongly discourage you from using the Cascade into this direction. Because one, it announces you exactly the angle that you're coming from. Because remember, Cascade is always in front of you. The direction of the wall shows where you used it from. You have to remember that. So if I'm using it like this, right? People will know that I was literally standing over here. Because this is how the Cascade was being thrown. Always remember that. You announce your position whenever you use the Cascade. If you use the wall in a straight line, that is something that will announce your position. It's very important. So now, why I don't like using it? Because you could use like a Cascade like this, and now stop moving it here. Now I don't like that because it's a little bit slow. It also, again, exposes you. So now you have to rotate probably into backside and like go here and reposition, and you're like kind of like moving around for no reason. So I don't like using the Cascade from my right hand side over here, but I like using it from the left side because it's more efficient, because I can reposition to better positions on site after using the Cascade to block like the vision over here. It's just easier and it's more convenient on A side than on B. Now, if opponents are moving towards side, you can do a very similar wall to what I'm typically doing on Viper. So a wall like this is also pretty neat when it comes to stopping them from moving to side. And you cut it early. Like it's super fast. It just goes up fast. There's a little bit of a problem with this gap over here, but hey, I mean, you know, it's a complicated agent. Like the problem with the high tide is that if there's no ground, it's not gonna be connected, you know? So you can try doing it a little bit more to the left, like for example, like this, right? But then there's a downside of leaving space behind the pillar. Now the gap is smaller over here, so it's not really that impactful like before, but people have space over here. So always have that in mind when you're using this wall towards B side. But again, if you use this wall, people will know which angle to look at to find the harbor. Think about that, remember that. All right, now the strategy for psychos, okay? This one, use with caution. It's really risky. So use it on like half buys when that risk is like somehow mitigated because you don't have that much to lose and you're not expecting to win the run, so you can do some crazy stuff. I like to stand in this corner on top of this and now use the wall into this direction. Cut it short, of course, when it reaches here, right? So do it something like this. Now this creates a small cover for you on this angle. Now you can use this to control this space and people will not expect you over here. They will also not see you from this angle. You can also stand like this and get an easy kill and then jump back. So you can add, for example, right? If you hear like massive footsteps over here, you can do this. You do this over here, then wall over here. And now you're standing like this. So people from here are not gonna see you, and if they jump through you actually hear them early, so you can get easy kills on them. Sometimes they will just not even hit the jump because of the smoke, which is hilarious. But when you're standing over here, you can get an easy kill from this angle and then fall back like this so they don't see you and jump behind sight. It is very risky, but believe me when I say this, it works. It works. But don't use it too often. Use it like once per match. Like that's it. You don't want to use it too many times. Just once. Try to win it round because of that, because you get like a drop on someone and you have advantage, and forget about it for the rest of the match. Small bonus. You need to practice this, but you can get on this rope without making noise. Now, I'll show you how I'm doing it, but I don't have like a verbal exact explanation how does it work. I don't know. Sometimes it just works. So please go to the custom map. Try it out. It can be hilarious when you can just get the first second silently on the rope and just sit there. Practice that. It's hilarious. All right, let's go to mid. This time on attack. Now, there are a few walls that I like to use on mid. First is going to be from this corner because it gives you a little bit more time for adjustments, because I want to do a wall that goes here to here or to here or to here, depending what I want to achieve, right? But I do it from like in a straight line like this first because it gives me a little bit more time to control it correctly. So go forward, control it, angle it, and then do whatever you want with it, right? So this here gives me control over the fact that I don't have to be worried too much about being peaked from top mid on the right side, but also it allows me to check this corner without being exposed to its back. Now, if I do the wall a little bit closer over here, there can still be someone peeking through it. So sometimes I actually like to do it like a little bit curved in this direction. One more pro tip: if you're standing over here, you can shoot into a corner behind this wall right here. If you aim here, this here, you can wallbang and kill a person who's standing here. This is like standing headshot if you do it in the middle of this box. If you want to do a crouching guy, then you have to do it a little bit lower, like this. That's essentially it. You can also help mid if you go into A main, go into this corner, but remember, check this first. And they'll do a wall like this. What this essentially does, it creates a little bit of pressure for the mid players. It helps your teammates to scale up towards catwalk, destroy the doors, and now you're able to like check this corner over here while doing some pressure. It's like, you know, you might need to high tides for execute, so this is just a thing just in case you need to help them. Now, actually, when it comes to Cascade, I don't advise using actually Cascade here on this part of the map because of this. As you can see, it creates accidental one-ways. If you know perfectly the timings, you can actually maybe use it to your advantage to some degree, but you need to be aware that it creates those small windows of opportunities to shoot from. So yeah, if you're like incredibly confident, you might actually use this to like try to hit some people, but just be aware that this happens like this. Now, if you move it, of course, forward over here, this is all fine, right? So this stops moving, doesn't get like any kind of windows opening, right? Or any opening windows. But remember also that you can mark it before you go with it, right? So if you use it from here, it will automatically stop itself like here. Like you can use it this way. So now when you scale up, you like kind of isolate this angle and this is completely blocked, right? So you can go towards those. Coming from B main to mid is incredibly inefficient, but if you have to do it, go into the rope room from this corner and do a wall like this. Again, you want to have a straight line a little bit deeper outside of the map to give you a little bit more control to go into this direction over here. You try to cut the wall short, of course, once it reaches here, so it spawns a little bit earlier. Water rising. This is not ideal, of course, because you could do it a little bit more efficiently by putting it closer to this edge, but it's like you get the point. Now you deny the vision from all of those angles over here and essentially help your teammates scale up in mid. But now let's go to the bread and butter, which is the executes on sites. And it's boy oh boy complicated, right? But I found a solution to be consistent. So obviously there's one like perfect wall that maybe someone will be able to do. And it goes like from here to here and then literally goes like covers entire heaven. Now, I kid you not, this happens like maybe once per 10 times that I'm able to do it perfectly. And the point is, if you're not able to do it perfectly, then I advise not doing it, because this should be covering over here. But if it's not, then as you can see, it doesn't really affect this player. It's a slight inconvenience, but it's not really a problem for this player over here. So the reason why I'm not even trying to do like a perfect wall, because it's so complicated, I found a solution to be consistent while doing very easy walls. So one of my solutions to this problem is we go into this corner over here and we do a straight wall that goes to its sides like this. Now, there are a few things that you need to be aware of, right? So we're gonna do a wall that goes like this. It goes towards side and it creates like a small pocket for you to go to side. Now, this wall alone is not enough. There's also another version of the wall, wait, I'll show you, that creates like a shower curtain. So we're gonna do it a little bit more to this direction. And now it creates a little bit of a shower curtain, as you see here, if we aim it a little bit more towards this corner. Now, it all depends what you exactly want to achieve. Sometimes this wall is going to be better. Sometimes you want to leave this open. So just remember that those two walls can be done completely differently. But now we combine this with a cascade. And this is how I like using them for executes. So we're going to do the one without the shower curtain on this bridge, right? So we're going to be aiming it a little bit more towards this angle rather than this angle, right? After we do that, we're gonna go with the cascade like this. We're gonna align it this way. And now we can scale towards side with this wall and take this space and fight for this area as well, as you can see. So we like deny a lot of informations, and we can combine that with also with the shower curtain wall, right? So let's do it now with the other wall. So we aim it a little bit more into this angle like this.
Water rising.
And cascade. Use it before you reach the corner, by the way, not like I just did. And now we can go a little bit more forward without being exposed. There's a small gap here, right? But this is always gonna be here. This is just how it works. And now this allows you to just be a little bit more safe to scale up. But you have to remember that those sites are incredibly hard to smoke, so that people can still stand over here, like be behind the boxes, be on the other side of this box right here. So you can also use your Cove when you're doing this execute. So what I like doing is actually, this is kind of funny. It's like a delayed Cove for the planter that goes behind me. So when I'm doing the wall and the cascade, I'm throwing the Cove to bounce from this wall like this.
Blocking fire.
So it's like delayed. So I then don't have to use it later on, right? So how does this look in actual execute? I go here, I use the wall, I use the cascade, I go in, I throw the Cove, and I walk forward. And the Cove lands now and helps the players to scale up behind me, because I'm most likely going in first. If I'm efficient at movement, I am first on this side. But I don't have to think about throwing the Cove for the planter, because it helps to some degree for him already, right? So one more time. Go here.
Walls up. Flooding them. Shield going out.
And the Cove landed, as you can see. So I can go towards the side. I fucked up the Cove, the cascade, by the way. But I can go now towards the side and fight for all of those angles. Now, another thing that I like using on B is when I go into window. So I start in this corner and I do double cascades. So I pre-set up this cascade to be not like this. Do not connect this wall with this wall, because it leaves a gap. So I do it a little bit more towards this angle, like this, but I'm gonna stop it before this box, like this. So when the barrier drops, I activate the cascade and I don't have to control it, because it will automatically stop in this spot.
Wave crashing.
So now I can jump up, jump down, go towards the side, and be already close to side without being spotted. This is the first step. Now you can combine that with another cascade once the other one stops moving. So let's do it again. Here.
Flooding them.
Jump up, be ready to fight, because people can be here. This stops moving. I can do another one. I go forward, I stop it, and I fight with those angles over here. Like, the thing about Harbor is that you can be very expressive with your own like idea on how to go into sides. Double cascades are fantastic if you don't want to use the high tide going to the side. Like, some people might just not want to use the wall that I just showed you before, with the wall from here to here and then the cascade here, right? But double cascade towards side here is like easy to scale with, because you kind of understand how to move towards the wall yourself. Also remember that the Cove will help you a little bit by going onto site and just soak up some damage. So you can use your Cove early on the entrance to essentially act like a small shield for your units coming forward. Combining that with Cascade is actually pretty sweet. So we can use the plan like this. We set up this Cascade again, right? Like this. So we're gonna go forward with it, automatically stops moving as it reaches this point, right? So we do it this year, we go forward. Now we're gonna throw the Cove. I'm gonna use another Cascade and I go forward, and I cannot be shot from this direction while this Cascade goes forward and I can block it at some point. Now again, combining all of those pieces of utility is up to you because you can be very creative with it. But just remember that Cove is not essentially a smoke. It's just like a small shield that soaks up bullets, and that's it. You should not treat it differently, because if your opponents have more IQ than a snail, they're gonna shoot it and destroy it instantly. Now I know it's ranked, they might actually not shoot it, but you should not be thinking about it that way. People should be shooting that. And now A side execute. So we can do like a mirror image of what we were doing on B side. So we go somewhere, like we don't have to like go into any corners or anything. Just pay attention to how the wall goes on the A side. We have two options. We either smoke the wall and curve it, or make it just a straight line. So ideally we go like here to here to here, right? Like this.
Walls up.
And we can catch it early. And this covers like the side we can go in. Have to be aware a little bit of those positions. Now, you have to practice this to be efficient with the curving. This is not ideal. It should be closer to here, you know, but it takes practice. You can also be a little bit more consistent with using the Cascade with it, right? So you go into like an area that pre-set ups the Cascade in a position that you already wanted to stop moving. Like this, right? So then, still, we do first the wall. So we do a wall that, for example, goes like this. So it also gets a little bit of plant spot over here. Now, we do a left click. We forget about the wall. We equip the Cascade and we go forward. Now, with this Cascade, I can check the right side and go onto site and not really worry about this position. It's important to check this first because you're going into like 50-50 angles, right? So this is one of those executes that I like doing. Now remember that perfect wall can be done. It can cover tower, so it can go like here and then curve into top of this and that. Now if you can do that every time, kudos, you're much better than me. But I am not trying to do this every single time, because look at this. I just left so much spot on the rope room that it's gonna be abused. As you can see, literally this wall right here doesn't affect this player at all, and he can actually shoot people. So I like using the wall a little bit closer, which denies more informations, because that's the most important thing. Smoking the rope room is important, but you can achieve it by using the wall in front of him, right? Just like in my Abyss guide for Viper and other smokers, if you do this, the player in rope room can't really see you coming to site, which is important, right? So yeah, you can also just use the wall that I showed on Viper, which is essentially just this, because this creates space for you to go up the site over here, right? Like this. You can combine that with a Cascade for bridge as well, and it denies info from the player from rope when you go over here. So you can maybe even fight him like this. Remember that using the Cove, even if there's a smoke from your opponent, let's say that this position right here, this is the smoke from Omen right here. It's not the Cove, it's the smoke from Omen. We can follow it with the stuff that I said before with the walls, but even when you did the walls and the Cascade, you can still throw your Cove in front of us. So when we go in to the side, if people are spamming through the walls and cascades that we put behind them, this Cove protects us from the hail of bullets while we're running into the smoke. right? While we're running into the site. That's important. And again, use your Cove as an additional health pocket for your entire team, which will soak up like half of a clip of a rifle. This might be actually a game changer when it comes to not losing a player. One more tip. I personally don't like using Cascade to block off right side like this, because even though this allows me to fight for those angles, the players in this corner typically are more eager to peek through and try to punish you. So it's like, it's very risky. You know, it's very risky. And for those players, if they have a Phantom, it's also pretty easy to like listen to your footsteps and just spam through. If they have a Vandal, you can punish them. But if they have a Phantom, you might actually lose your life. So if you really want to like go and check the left side instead of checking the right side, you could actually like think about using the Cove. So when you throw it here, this allows you to go over here and essentially kind of deny the position for this player, because if he peeks out of this, then he's like, he cannot spam through the smoke, and if he peeks out of that, he's kind of exposed more in a bigger manner than through the Cascade, because he doesn't really see that much like when he just has a wall in front of him, right? Like if he has just this in front of him, he has a little bit more space for himself. I hope you guys enjoyed the guide, and if you liked it, consider subscribing to the channel. This helps me out a lot. If you recommend it to your friends to learn, even if they're not Harbor player, you know, maybe they will learn something from this. And you know, any likes, comments, suggestions on which agents you would like to see, guides about, maybe maps, techniques, all of that, greatly appreciated. And I do think it's inspiring to see some ideas of what people actually want to learn. So if you have a suggestion, don't be shy, reply.